Paraground Tornadus. So it's discharge stuff. Rocky Helmet Zapdos. Doesn't quite get knocked out there. Round Terra Blast on the Tornadus. Okay, I did not see that coming. They completely blew me up with that one. Walking Wake is maybe my favorite Generation 9 Pokemon, certainly top 3. Sadly, we can't see its art here on PokePaste, but it is a very fun twist on Suicune crossed with a dinosaur, of course. It is, in my opinion, probably the best execution of the basic idea of a Paradox Pokemon. Very creative design, and a super interesting Pokemon as well, being a water type that is powered up by the sun. So I'm always rooting for Walking Wake when I see it in a tournament, but it is a difficult Pokemon to use. It doesn't have a ton of results. I've never done very well when I've tried it myself, even though it looked on paper for a while like it would be good during that weird long stretch where it and Iron Leaves were not VGC legal. Yeah, it's definitely been a tough one to figure out. So I was very happy to see that Walking Wake got top 4 at this past weekend's Stockholm Regional Championship on this super aggressive Sun team by Jamie Boyd. Jamie Boyd is a long-time, very successful player. He makes content sometimes, so I'm a little bit familiar with his teams already, and he usually brings some unusual stuff. This guy cooks hard for tournaments, and his teams often stand out in the field, even in formats that seem relatively kind of centralized. This team is actually not that out there compared to what I've seen from him in the past, but yeah, it definitely makes some unusual choices, and the Walking Wake really made a statement in its appearances on the tournament stream, putting in a lot of work, just hitting extremely hard with Photosynthesis boosted, Specs boosted, sometimes Terra boosted if it was clicking Hydro Steam, water and dragon type attacks, opening up holes for its teammates. This team can play aggressively with Koraidon, Chi-Yu, Fluttermane, and Walking Wake. It has a little bit of a defensive backbone available in Brute Bonnet and Heatran. Brute Bonnet being faster than Amoonguss with still access to Spore and Rage Powder, so it can threaten the sleep onto things like Iron Hands and Ice Rider Calyrex. Has slightly higher base speed than those Pokemon. Heatran is a Pokemon that's been showing up on a few teams lately, but I'm not personally super familiar with how it plays. But looking at this set, the Zoom Lens with the Magma Storm means that it's relatively likely to be able to land a hit and trap an opponent on the field. And of course, it can have a substitute to make itself hard to remove. And with the Terra Fairy, I imagine it's largely here to check things like Zamazenta and, to an extent, Ice Rider Calyrex. We did see Boyd use it against the Ice Rider in top 4. But yeah, overall, this team hits extremely hard, breaks through a lot of Pokemon, and Walking Wake is one of the faces of that playstyle. Just putting a ton of investment into overwhelming power with those Hydro Steams and those Draco Meteors. As casters pointed out, everything on this team is boosted in some way by the sun, and yeah, Koraidon continues to really have a moment lately in competitive play, just being able to break games wide open with explosive offense, and this team is definitely engineered to make the most of that. As happens pretty often these days, I don't have the creators' EVs, but I'm actually able to make some pretty reasonable estimates this time, because Boyd played 2 sets on stream from his perspective and brought every Pokemon at some point. So I do have their exact HP values. I have the correct Photosynthesis boosts for all 3 of the Paradox Pokemon here: defense, special attack, and speed, respectively. And from there, I mean, most of these Pokemon want to go very fast. The Brute Bonnet was definitely very physically bulky, so I probably don't have his exact EV spreads, but I'm probably not too far off. This could be a tricky team to use for sure, because you really have to make some reads and make sure that your offensive game plan is pulled off properly. And of course, I only saw how Boyd himself approached a couple of matchups, but we'll see what we can do here. Right away, we get standard-looking Miraidon team, and do I know how to play into this? Okay, I don't like Brute Bonnet in the electric terrain all that much. How do I beat Miraidon with this team? I can just lead Fluttermane Chi-Yu, try to blow stuff up right away. That is vulnerable to, what, Tailwind, Miraidon stuff, but nothing on this team really wants to take a Volt Switch, except maybe Koraidon. But I'm going to try that. I'm going to go for the, I could bring Heatran. But I'm just going to go for the hyper-aggressive mode like we saw in the day one set with this team. And I really don't know that I'll get the reads right, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Scarf Chi-Yu and Fairy Feather Fluttermane. So Moonblast will hit a little bit harder. At the very least... what was I saying? At the very least, the Miraidon can probably only take 1 KO turn 1, but... yeah, go figure. I step outside of my comfort zone with a slightly unusual team, and right off the bat, I'm not really sure what to do. I don't think I dislike just clicking Heat Wave and... oh! What's going on? Heat Wave and... I can even protect Fluttermane. But I think I have to attack because I lose a lot of initiative. Oh, I can switch Koraidon in and Icy Wind. I don't think that's that valuable, though. I will still Icy Wind. They just Electro Drift into Fluttermane, so protecting Fluttermane would have been pretty good there. But we KO Whimsicott. We get some damage on Miraidon. I guess there's not much to do but go Koraidon here. And Chi-Yu is kind of stuck now. At least the Surging Strikes will be weakened. They can still close combat Chi-Yu if they want. I forgot to talk about Breaking Swipe on the Koraidon. I do think I'm going to click it here. It's an interesting tech because it's not very strong, but it does give Koraidon a spread move, which it doesn't really have otherwise. And the attack drops can be helpful to something like Brute Bonded or Heatran sticking around. Of course, I didn't bring those Pokemon to this game. I'm trying to decide whether I want to switch Walking Wake in for Chi-Yu, but I don't think I do. I think I'm probably just sacking Chi-Yu here, and I think I'm okay with it, but I will go for a Breaking Swipe. Assuming the Miraidon is choiced, yeah, it doesn't want to click Electro Drift and do Koraidon, resisted. So Breaking Swipe should actually do a lot to these two Pokemon. Yeah, it does a lot of damage to Urshifu. It does some decent damage to Ogerpon, and then the attack drops are pretty valuable here, I think. And Miraidon, if I click Breaking Swipe again the next turn, Miraidon is probably not eager to switch in. I think I can lock Walking Wake into Dragon Pulse here, because I don't need Hydro Steam for anything. The only thing is if it's Terra Fairy Miraidon and they get it in safely, maybe I do need to lock into Hydro Steam, actually. I think that's okay. I can kind of pin the Miraidon with Hydro Steam and Breaking Swipe. I'll Hydro Steam into the Ogerpon because I can potentially knock it out in combination with the Breaking Swipe. The Ivy Cudgel Koraidon doesn't do very much. Unfortunately, they do now get Miraidon in with a turn of Tailwind still. I even might want to protect Koraidon through this turn. And then I have max speed Koraidon. It's at worst a speed tie with Miraidon. The problem is they might just nuke the Walking Wake, but yeah, I think I'm going to go for that. I'm thinking about terrestrializing Walking Wake, but I don't think I can here because I might need the Terra on Koraidon if they lock into Dazzling Gleam. So I'm just going to go for Hydro Steam into Urshifu and protect Koraidon. It's Terra Fairy Miraidon. Okay, we don't take too much from that Aqua Jet. Dazzling Gleam will knock out Walking Wake. Yeah. Alright. Can I even win this? I think I need to Flare Blitz the Miraidon and hope I don't get KO'd. That's what it comes down to. And the game ended, so that's not what happened. Yeah, Koraidon just takes too much damage back there. So, I mean, we were trading KOs all through that. The team can definitely keep up offensively with any other, but that Tailwind was just super hard to deal with. And there's not really a way to deny it on this team, so I'm not sure what the right matchup for that is. Anyway, let's see if we get something different now. Oh, well, this is certainly different. A Belly Bolt. That's interesting. Okay, so it's an Ice Rider matchup, but I'm not especially motivated, I think, to bring Heatran. Well, it's tricky. It's probably Tail Room stuff. So So this person could also just set Tailwind up on me. That's one thing that really stood out to me about this team. There's not a lot of speed control. I mean, the Fluttermane has speed boost from Photosynthesis. The Chi-Yu has a Choice Scarf. That's pretty much it for speed control on this team. And it seemed like a lot, especially in the top 4 set, hinged on whether the opponent set Trick Room up or not. But that's kind of the thing with this team. It tries to just go. I guess I bring Root Bonnet to this one to threaten sleep into the Ice Rider Calyrex, right? It also can't be taunted or encored by Whimsicott, at least before Terra. I'll bring Koraidon, Walking Wake, Heatran. I think that's the right mode for this. We are going to see the Belly Bolt in this game. Don't know what that does. Brute Bonnet does have higher base speed than Blood Moon or Ursaluna, but this could definitely be a fast Blood Moon on this Tailwind team. I think that's very, very plausible. So maybe I just want to attack it immediately. And Belly Bolt is slow. I can go for Spore into Belly Bolt. I have no idea what Belly Bolt is going to do. It could have Safety Goggles. It could be Terra Grass. I have no clue. But I think a close combat into Ursaluna looks pretty safe here. It's Terra Electric Belly Bolt. We do knock out Ursaluna. Root Bonnet probably goes next. Yep. Okay, Belly Bolt takes a nap. Might never find out what it does on this team. And they forfeit. Yeah, okay. So the Belly Bolt will remain a mystery. But that's Brute Bonnet for you. It does hit harder on the physical side, of course, than Amoonguss does. And this one is carrying Seed Bomb and Sucker Punch. But what's really interesting about Brute Bonnet on this team is, one, it's a bit faster than Amoonguss, and it in turn also a bit faster than uninvested Iron Hands and Pokemon like Ice Rider Calyrex. So the Spore threat has a little bit more of that immediate threat to it with the extra speed. And then, of course, the Photosynthesis boost. I believe Brute Bonnet's highest base stat is actually its attack, but on this team it boosts defense, and that gives it a little bit of free physical bulk that Amoonguss doesn't have available to it. Here we have an Eternatus team. I haven't started timer yet. Here we have an Eternatus team with Latios, Grimmsnarl, Comfey. So this is going to be some Cosmic Power Eternatus stuff, supported by screens and Grassy Terrain Recovery and Floral Healing. So I think I might want to lead Heatran into this and try to trap something on the field. Ideally, remove some of the supports. I think that makes sense. I don't think I have a way to just knock out Eternatus immediately, especially when I don't know its Terra type, and it resists Koraidon's strongest attacks. I don't know if Breaking Swipe is getting the job done here. I could maybe lead like Heatran, Brute Bonnet, start fishing for sleeps, and yeah, try to trap things. I think that's not bad, actually. I'll bring Koraidon, and I think I'll bring Walking Wake. Although Walking Wake is probably slower than Latios, so that might be a mistake, but we'll find out. Okay, they are threatening a couple of fake outs. My guess is Incineroar fakes something out, and Grimmsnarl sets up a screen. I'm just going to go for Substitute with Heatran, and I'll try to Spore the Grimmsnarl if I can. Okay, they fake out Brute Bonnet. That's fine. I'm very happy to get this Substitute. And now I forgot that it's Covert Cloak Brute Bonnet. I actually thought it was going to flinch there. Grimmsnarl takes a nap. I think I'd like to hard switch Koraidon in and start threatening some offense. Incineroar is probably going to try to get out of here. I'll go for a Magma Storm into the Grimmsnarl because why not? And yeah, I'll just switch Brute Bonnet out to Koraidon. Start trying to threaten KOs. They can't intimidate it immediately because Incineroar is already on the field. They Flare Blitz. Actually does quite a bit, but now I'm threatening a close combat into that slot if I want, but they have 3 fighting resists, so definitely at least one of those in the back. And I think I'd rather try to catch the Eternatus or the Latios with a Breaking Swipe if I can. So I'm going to go for a Magma Storm into that slot and Breaking Swipe. Okay, Incineroar goes Terra Ghost, so it's a good thing I didn't close combat that slot. Do they Will-O-Wisp me here, though? Rocky Helmet Incin. If I'd known that, I could have sported earlier, but they just go for Parting Shot. Okay, so they're going to get out of the Magma Storm, but Incineroar took a lot of damage. Now Eternatus is here. I can Breaking Swipe, but I think I'm probably better off switching. I don't know, actually. I'll Magma Storm Eternatus. I actually think I'm going to hard switch to Walking Wake and try to have that big Draco Meteor available immediately. Yeah, they start setting up the Cosmic Power. I missed the Magma Storm. Okay. I'll just go for it again, along with a Draco Meteor. Or maybe I want to KO Grimmsnarl at this point. I'm just going to go for the first play I said. Grimmsnarl wakes up. Parting Shot, walk into Walking Wake. Not ideal. That'll weaken the Draco Meteor, and so will the Light Screen. Still does a lot of damage. That's the power of Specs Walking Wake. Specs Modest Walking Wake and Sun right there. They can fake out Walking Wake now, though, so I can't just... They could probably click Recover on the Eternatus. I probably want to get Walking Wake out of here, and I'm running out of Magma Storms, actually, because I'm clicking them into this Pressure Pokemon. But I think it's worth it to go for one into Incineroar. And I probably want to just switch Walking Wake out. I think I'm going to try going to Brute Bonnet. Because maybe I can get a Spore into Eternatus. Recovers. Incineroar's knocked out. Grimmsnarl has shown Light Screen and Parting Shot. It might not have Fake Out. Okay, Rillaboom is last. That gives recovery to Heatran. Of course, it also gives recovery to Eternatus. I'm on my last... They also can Fake Out here. I'm on my last Magma Storm, but I will use it into this Rillaboom. And... I mean, let's see if they let me Spore Eternatus. Probably not. Oh, it's Fire Spin Eternatus. They trap Brute Bonnet on the field. Brute Bonnet with all that physical bulk. It is double weak to the U-turn, but it survives. Unfortunately, that was pretty smart by them to get Rillaboom safely away from my last Magma Storm. I am now out of PP for that move. I didn't really manage it very carefully. I do still have normal Terra Blast, or I can Terra Fairy if I want. Brute Bonnet is trapped. Unfortunately, I can't switch it out. I'll just Terra Blast the Rillaboom and see what it does, and I might as well Sucker Punch it too. Okay, they fake out Brute Bonnet, so we don't get to land the Sucker Punch. I don't think it makes a huge difference. Terra Blast does not a lot. I can go Koraidon here and start clicking Breaking Swipe. And I guess I'm looking to try to win with the Draco Meteor Walking Wake. Might need a crit or something, but... Or I could Flare Blitz the Rillaboom. That removes that Pokemon more quickly. I think that's what I'm going to do. Unfortunately, without Magma Storm, Heatran is a lot less useful. Okay, basically traded Koraidon for Rillaboom, but like I said, I'm trying to win with Walking Wake at this point. And I might as well... Hang on. Eternatus might not have a move to hit Heatran. I was going to say I might as well Terrastallize Heatran, because I'm definitely not Terrastalizing Walking Wake, but Eternatus might not have a move to hit Heatran, so I'm going to leave it as is. And yeah, I'm going to go for that Draco Meteor, not using the Terra this game, and Draco Meteor actually just KOs outright. Again, Choice Specs, Modest, Walking Wake, in Sun. That was a +2 Eternatus. The Light Screen was gone at that point, but yeah, saving Walking Wake in the back and removing Eternatus' supports meant that Walking Wake was able to clean up in the end. Now we get another Miraidon. Am I going to learn anything from last game? I could try leading Koraidon into this. And then what? I can just like Terrafire. I could try leading Koraidon Chi-Yu. Heat Wave. I think it's worth a shot. Just threaten a ton of offense immediately and try to blow something up. And then I'll bring Walking Wake and Fluttermane. I'll bring the same Pokemon as the last Miraidon game, but in a different order. It is Miraidon Whimsicott lead again. And I am just going to Terra Koraidon immediately and close... Am I? Yeah, and I'll Flare Blitz the Miraidon slot and I'll click Heat Wave with Chi-Yu. Miraidon can knock something out probably if it wants. But at least I've made their choice a little bit more complicated. They do just Volt Switch the Chi-Yu and knock it out. We'll get the close combat into something else, and then probably lose to, or Flare Blitz, and then probably lose to Miraidon soon after. They know now that Koraidon is vulnerable to something like Volt Switch. So yeah, losing Chi-Yu there is pretty bad actually. Walking Wake here. And again, at least they should probably only be able to knock out one of my Pokemon immediately, so let's see if I can remove this Whimsicott. Goes for Light Screen, they knock out Walking Wake. Should KO Whimsicott here unless it has a Focus Sash. But I still probably lose to Miraidon in the back. Yeah, well, let's just fish for double protects, otherwise they got me. I don't know how you beat these Tailwind Miraidon teams with this. It definitely feels like a very tough matchup. Let's see if I get my double protect. Terra Fairy makes sense. Fluttermane gets the double, Koraidon doesn't. And Fluttermane is not going to solo this Miraidon, fortunately. I don't think it's even going to beat Iron Hands. But maybe I'll get a turbo crit. That does like 8 times more than a regular crit. Okay, yeah. That didn't go as well as the last one either. We got a Zapdos here. That's interesting. Shadow Rider. What do I have for Shadow Rider on this team? Actually a fair bit. I have Scarf Chi-Yu. Walking Wake has Snarl. Not really sure when else I would click that. And of course I have Brute Bonnet, which... The other thing that sets it apart from Amoonguss is being a dark type. Of course, they have Tailwind stuff. I could just lead Brute Bonnet Chi-Yu. That's vulnerable to some things, but... Especially when they probably have Rain on this team, I think. I think that's a Rapid Strike or Shifu. I think the Zapdos has Hurricane. I think Zapdos gets Hurricane now. Maybe it doesn't. But I kind of want to just lead Brute Bonnet, Chi-Yu, and then have Koraidon in the back and somebody. Koraidon and... into this, maybe Fluttermane. Or maybe Walking Wake, because if I think it's Rapid Strike or Shifu... Good to have that Surging Strikes answer. On the other hand, Fluttermane is faster than Shadow Rider and Sun, so we'll go Fluttermane. Okay, Tornadus Zapdos is the lead. So they certainly can Rain Dance Hurricane into Brute Bonnet if they want, or like Rain Dance Weather Ball into Chi-Yu. I think Zapdos gets Weather Ball. I kind of want to double Zapdos with like Sucker Punch and Dark Pulse. Does seem pretty strong. I'll give it a go. Terra Ground Tornadus, so it's discharge stuff. Rocky Helmet Zapdos doesn't quite get knocked out there. Round Terra Blast on the Tornadus. Okay, I did not see that coming. They completely blew me up with that one. But I still have 2 Pokemon left. For what good that will do me. I guess I'll Flare Blitz and Dazzling Gleam and hope they don't click Tailwind. They click Rain Dance instead. But that does still mean that Fluttermane will probably be slower than Shadow Rider. Is it Shadow Rider coming in? It's Landorus. Okay, they get the Intimidate into Koraidon. Do I think they're clicking Earthquake? Because if they are, they'll knock out their own Tornadus, unless they switch Dragonite in. I think I'm just going to Breaking Swipe and Dazzling Gleam and hope for the best. Okay, Breaking Swipe comes out first. It actually knocks out Tornadus. So it would have been better to click Moonblast instead of Dazzling Gleam. It doesn't make a big difference. -1 attack Landorus. Still does a little bit more than half to Flutter Mane, but it doesn't KO. I can Breaking Swipe again here. We know that Koraidon is faster than Landorus. The problem is Flutter Mane is probably just doomed. Well, it depends a little bit on what the Urshifu decides to do here. But Breaking Swipe did 21 to Landorus, so I'll go for Dazzling Gleam here. I'm not sure Flutter Mane will get an attack off. Nope, it drops to an Aqua Jet, but there was nothing I could do about that in that position. But Breaking Swipe will lower both Pokemon's attack. How much does Koraidon take? Might be too much. But nothing to do but play this out and try, right? We got the Breaking Swipe here, but looks like we're going to drop to probably a close combat. Okay, yeah, so some quick games with this team, but they're not really going my way for the most part. I definitely am finding it hard to use, which is not really surprising. I think that was pretty well what I expected. Well, Walking Wake has looked extremely powerful, even if I don't have the same skill level as Jamie Boyd in positioning it. Because this has been pretty quick, even though that's 3 losses, I'm going to get one more game, and then win or lose, that'll be the last one. As we get Shadow Rider Smeargle team. That looks difficult to deal with for sure. Shadow Rider and Smeargle. Tailwind. Double Fake Out. This team looks like a hassle. I like the Covert Cloak Brute Bonnet, though, in the lead. I definitely like that. Maybe I can lead it with Heatran and try to get Heatran behind a substitute. None of these Pokemon have pressure, so the Magma Storms might put in some decent work here. I'm going to try that. And then I think we leave the Walking Wake behind in this game and bring Koraidon Flutter Mane. Maybe Chi-Yu Flutter Mane would even have been better. Because I think Chi-Yu could put out a lot of pressure that this team could use, but is what it is. I'm going to go straight for a Spore into Shadow Rider Calyrex. And I would really like to remove this Tornadus if I can, so I'm gonna risk a Magma Storm into the Tornadus slot. Terra Fairy, Calyrex. Okay, I'm glad I didn't click Substitute, but I missed the Magma Storm. Calyrex does take a nap. Still gonna be hard to remove though. Honestly, I can just go for Spore into the Tornadus slot, and now a Magma Storm into the Calyrex slot. Heatran is pretty safe here to just click an attack. Bleakwind Storm, Brute Bonnet survives. We missed the Magma Storm again. The Zoom Lens really not coming through here. I'm just looking for damage on the Calyrex at this point. It does stay asleep. They both do. Magma Storm does some good damage, and it's not a ghost type anymore. Well, it's knocked out anyway, but it wouldn't have been able to switch out now. There's a Rapid Striker Shifu. I can even threaten a Spore into that, or I can just switch hard to Flutter Mane because they probably want to close combat Brute Bonnet, so I can't put their stuff to sleep anymore. So I'm gonna read that and switch to Flutter Mane, and I think I can Terra Fairy Heatran, and I don't really see a ton of value in clicking Substitute here, so I think I can Terra Fairy and just Terra Blast into Urshifu, actually. Tornadus wakes up, goes for Rain Dance. They U-turn into Flutter Mane. It is resisted. So, hey, I still got Brute Bonnet out of that. We break the Focus Sash on Smeargle. That I like. It can Fake Out now, but it can't fake Flutter Mane out, so I'll just click Dazzling Icy Wind. I'll just click Dazzling Gleam and protect Heatran. They wide guard. Okay. Okay, missed my chance to knock out the Smeargle there. Oh, they get the speed drop too. That's not great for me. I don't think I need Brute Bonded anymore in this game. I think I can sack that to reset the speed drop on Flutter Mane. And I'll just go for... I've been missing some of my Magma Storms. I don't need it anyway. I'll just go for a Terra Blast into Smeargle here. Bleak Wind knocks out Brute Bonnet. Crits Heatran, but still doesn't do a ton. To get the Spore into Heatran. Yeah, the Smeargle is really getting set up nicely here. Go back to Flutter Mane. What I'm going to do is switch to Koraidon to get the Sun up. And Moonblast Smeargle. Play around that wide guard. It is awkward that I have Heatran at no sleep turns killed in the back, but it's also awkward that I switched Koraidon into a Bleak Wind Storm, but yeah, things are tricky right now. What can I say? I'll just go for a Moonblast and a Breaking Swipe. Try to get rid of Urshifu if I can. They Surging Strike Flutter Mane. Breaking Swipe. I think I probably lose. Yeah, because Heatran hasn't taken any sleep turns. All right, this one felt like it was going well for a while, but I wasn't able to hold on, and that's what makes this kind of team difficult to use. So I think I went 1-4 today. I said that this wasn't all that out there compared to some Jamie Boyd teams I'd seen before, but this one was still tricky for sure, and yet it has so much power. If you really know what you're doing with this team, you really can just blow a game wide open sometimes with offensive Pokemon like Koraidon and Chi-Yu. And I can't emphasize enough, that Walking Wake hits so hard. It was doing some incredible things with Draco Meteor and Hydro Steam during the streamed sets in Stockholm. So, unfortunately, I haven't been able to give it quite the showcase that I hoped to, but we have seen it put in some work in this video. And this is definitely a fun team that's worth trying out. Just be aware that it definitely has some weaknesses that you need to play around. So there's a bit of a skill barrier to this one, which I haven't entirely been able to clear myself today. But still a lot of fun, and I definitely hope to see Walking Wake continue to put in work at some events and maybe get a big tournament win sometime soon. Fingers crossed.